Yesterday's prophecies, today's headlines. This is the Hal Lindsey Report. And now, Hal Lindsey.
Hello, and welcome to the Hal Lindsey Report. Well, I want to announce a personal, historic event this morning. For the first time, I have switched from coffee to tea. And from now on, I'm going to drink tea. Now, why am I doing that? Because I want to never forget how important the Tea Party is, and to remind all of those who are in or would like to be in the Tea Party to get going, get united, and get ready to fight for the Constitution of the United States. So, happy tea time, folks. The 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified in 1791. It limits the power of pure democracy by outlining the general principles of federalism in a constitutional republic. It's as simple as it is unambiguous. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. In other words, any power not explicitly granted to the federal government cannot be usurped or assumed by the federal government. The federal government can only do what the Constitution says it can do, nothing more. It's simple. If I give you permission to park in front of my house, that does not mean you have permission to move into my house. The Declaration of Independence says that our constitutional rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness come from the Creator, God, not from the federal government. It's been said many times, but can't be said enough. So the one-party health care bill rammed through Congress on Sunday night by the Obama administration has 39 state governments already preparing to challenge it on constitutional grounds. Forget about politics. Look at the numbers. In every poll, a majority of Americans opposed it. In some polls, that figure swelled to 2/3 of the country. Tens of thousands marched on Washington to protest it. 34 Democrats and every single Republican voted against it. The bill is so bad that it took hundreds of millions of dollars in political payoffs. Remember, that's our money, for the administration to buy enough votes to pass it. Even though the majority of benefits won't kick in until 2014, the tax portion starts immediately this year. And that's the pain you're going to feel for several years before you ever get the free care the jubilant liberals are celebrating. The bill places new taxes on employers. It imposes compulsory health insurance on every American, unless you're in one of the protected unions or the Congress. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates that the minimum insurance cost for an American family of 4 under the plan will be about $12,000 per year or $1,000 per month. And that's whether you want it or not. More ominously, the legislation authorizes that most benevolent agency, the Internal Revenue Service, to enforce your compliance. Nowhere in the Constitution does it give the federal government the authority to create a right to health care. Health care is a service that is bought and sold, not a right. Rights cannot be purchased, and rights are not compulsory. Contrary to the popular belief, the United States is not a democracy. It is by design a constitutional republic. It gives the people a voice in their government, but doesn't allow the majority to run roughshod over the minority. The Founding Fathers were well aware of the dangers of a pure democracy, as expressed in an essay popularly attributed to Alexander Tyler, a Scottish history professor. Quote, "A democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voters discover that they can vote themselves largesse from the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority always votes for the candidates promising the most benefits from the public treasury, with the result that a democracy always collapses over loose fiscal policy, always followed by a dictatorship. Professor Tyler's observations were expanded in a list of unknown origin. It is nonetheless extremely appropriate and still true today. The average age of the world's greatest civilizations has been 200 years. These nations have progressed through this sequence, from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to great courage, from courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, from selfishness to apathy, from apathy to dependence, from dependence back into bondage. America has beaten this prediction by 34 years so far. But our politicians have looted the Treasury to buy our votes, resulting in fiscal policy that has pushed the economy to the brink. We've passed the abundance stage. This bill spends the next generation's money to pay for our health care. If there is a better example of national selfishness, it escapes me at the moment. Universal health care means a universal dependence on the health care provider, the government. Be warned, the IRS considers a person guilty until he proves himself innocent. That is a reversal of one of America's most cherished legal rights. So it's not surprising that the Obama administration is forcing compliance by greatly strengthening the IRS with over 12,000 more personnel, a legion of lawyers retained and paid with our tax dollars, increased administrative funding, and the legal use of your most personal and private information. Information that was never to be used for this purpose. It forces every tax-paying citizen into self-incrimination, which is a direct contravention of the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. You know, I find it interesting that the IRS has been chosen to enforce compliance with a socialistic government health plan. As I've shared with you on this program before, the IRS, along with our national personal income tax, was crammed down America's throat in 1913. The IRS is the one bureau in our government that is given unconstitutional powers. Even if the cops catch you with 5 dead bodies in the trunk of your car and the smoking gun in your hand, they cannot make you say anything that incriminates yourself. The IRS? Well, if you don't agree with their uncontestable assessment of your situation, they'll find you guilty and punish you without hardly a whisper of recourse by a battery of lawyers that are always on retainer. And even if you were to win with your lawyers, it would cost you so much you couldn't stand it. Well, welcome to Obamacare. In November 2008, you asked for it. Last Sunday, you got it.